Hey, want to support the graphic designer of the channel? Head on over to a Twitch account. She streams Monster Hunter on Sundays. Check the link in the description or the bit.ly right here on the screen. Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews. Hey, hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and welcome to my deluxe review of the SH MonsterArts Zinogre, the third release in the SH MonsterArts lineup for Monster Hunter. We have one of the most popular monsters from Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which introduced the G rank, Master rank, into the game. And oh boy, Zinogre has a nice history with fans of the West. What am I talking about? Well, maybe I'll share that with you in my memory as we take a look to see whether or not Zinogre is worth adding into your collection. So, three things. One, deluxe review. What is that? Well, there's not a deluxe version of the figure. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to give you the full works here. So this way you don't even have to think about going to another review to get an idea of whether or not you're going to want this figure. Two, every Monster Hunter video I'm doing since the SH MonsterArts line started up, I'm going to give you a memory of the monster that I'm reviewing. So, Zinogre here. My fondest memory is part one, recalling that he was locked to Portable Third, which would never release in the US. But then I remember seeing the trailer for Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate and just seeing that Zinogre prowling and stomping and staring at the camera and realizing I'm going to get to hunt the big old puppy. That's so awesome. Now, part three. Let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit, because you may see, whenever you're looking up Zinogre, the name Zinogre attached to it, and you're probably scratching your head if you don't know too much about Monster Hunter, and you're thinking, like, Zinogre, where'd that come from? Well, Monster Hunter Portable Third is where Zinogre debuted, and he's the flagship monster of that game. Now, when Monster Hunter Portable Third came out, MHP3 from here on out, MHP3 was only released in Japan and never made it outside of Japan to English-speaking territories. So whenever I say United States, just think of that. So when the United States and English speakers wanted to play it, they didn't know what to call this monster. So fan translators who may or may not have worked to make sure that there were English speakers who could play the game, they had to translate that name. So if you were to pronounce those Japanese characters, Zinogre, what do you have there? Well, you have something that sounds really cool, Zinogre. So for years, what was it, like 2009 to 2013, around that time? Yeah, so we had Zinogre. And even translations, we have Zinogre. You have those on different websites, Zinogre. When Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate gets localized for the United States, we get Zinogre. So once again, Zinogre. Yeah. Now, for those of you who are fans of Godzilla, Gojira, Godzilla, Pokemon, we'll talk about Porygon. It's one of those things that it seems to be stereotypical, but it's actually something that does happen. Language is funny like that. So that's gone on for long enough. Let's take a look at Zinogre. So Zinogre here actually looks really nice, and mine only has a small quality control issue. He does have two fangs which are painted sort of white on the top. One of them, unfortunately, has a little bit too much paint. It kind of looks like he's got a little bit of a buck tooth. Yeah. All right, so other than that, that's going to be the only thing that's wrong here with Zinogre. So in some key areas, he's going to be using translucent plastic to really help with that shine and the shimmery effect. And it really helps to make the blues sparkle and shine, and it really helps to make the whites of the fur really actually look dense. It's really cool. Now, Zinogre's yellow spikes, they're not quite just yellow on their own. They do have a little bit of hints of green blended in there, along with some cream here or there. Zinogre's scales are nicely sculpted, and actually, you know, he's called the Thunder Wolf Wyvern, but to be honest with you, I kind of see why there's the wyvern aspect in here. And it kind of looks like he's got some dragon scales, which is pretty cool. Now, we do have some dry brushing and airbrushing that is executed rather nicely here and there, and maybe from unit to unit, you may have just a little bit of clumping of paint here and there. But to be honest with you, that's going to vary, and I don't quite know how much that should be factored in to the whole picture if you're looking to pick this up, because from what I've seen, it's been rather limited. overall, for the price point that Zinogre is at approximately $125 from what I have received here, yeah, I do have to say from the looks department, Zinogre looks really good. Your mileage may vary if you may happen to get a quality control issue, which from all the units that I've seen so far, really none. T-posing Zinogre doesn't exist. It can't hurt you. So anyway, Zinogre's articulation, quite frankly, it's really good. And I know SH MonsterArts line articulated monster action figures, but this guy here, I would argue, is probably going to be one of the most articulated figures in the line so far. He's engineered rather well. Kudos to Machinations for that. So let's maybe get him in a more natural doggy pose. Oh boy. Wow. All right. So anyway, Zinogre, his jaw opens and closes on a hinge, right? So that's very good. It's very nice and easy. Now, if you may recall with Rathalos, his jaw was sort of blocked by the neck sculpt just a little bit. You had to fix that a little bit, and then you can get the mouth to open wide. It kind of sort of looks like maybe the same thing is going on inside there, but I can't quite tell because sometimes it seems like his mouth wants to open up more than it does, but I don't know. But yeah, that is enough clearance for Zinogre. Maybe just a little bit wider would be cool. Now, the neck. Okay, so this is a little convoluted, but it's really, really cool. And hopefully we'll see this level of engineering moving forward. So the head, you can see twists and turns because I actually popped the head off, and we'll go ahead and just do it now so we can show you kind of what's going on. We have a ball joint where it plugs in to this multi-ball joint system. And what's really cool is we have these individual pieces here, these sculpt parts, right? And they have tufts of fur with spikes that each plug in on ball joints. Wow. Okay, so this is great. Now we have all of these multi-sectional ball joints here that plug into each other that create sort of like a snake-like neck. And then your camera battery cuts out. But anyway, so Zinogre here has nice neck articulation. And then going down into the body, we have a nice gap here, which I'm going to show you what's going on here with the upper portion of the body. Yeah, so Zinogre can look down that far without stressing anything. Looking up, yes, he can look up that far. Now, what's really cool is if you pop off the arm of Zinogre, you can see that I'm not being a little out there this time. This portion of Zinogre's body, if we move the neck out of the way, for whatever reason, it shifts. I don't know if that's a bug or a feature, but what I will say is popping his arm back on, it appears that it's a feature. Or, if it isn't a feature, I use it as one. Because when it's popped forward, it makes Zinogre appear a bit bigger. If you pop it back, he gets just a little bit more room to throw his head back to howl. But when it's popped forward, see that? So I think that's a feature. I don't know. I could be wrong. But anyway, the neck, the head, yeah, moves fantastic. Shoulders. As you saw, we have ball joint, double axis or barbell style. I will say that sometimes the arm may seem like it's not moving too well. I'm able to pop the arms off with ease. I don't recommend doing it unless you know what you're doing. And you can actually move that inner ball joint similar to the 95 Godzilla mold in the SH MonsterArts line. And you can get much better movement out of the shoulders, which you can get pretty much great movement anyway out of the shoulders, which is fantastic. We are going to have effective double hinges for the elbows. So, yeah, that's great. We are going to have just a small pop off there for those tufts, but look at that. It's a ball joint. That is the first time that has happened. Huh, okay. So, yeah. Oh, and by the way, did I make mention that because that's probably going to be a ball joint there, we get a little bit of rotation at those joints? Yeah, so that's cool. All right, so wrists, paws. I'm going to pop it off just to show you here. Again, we have multi-connection here. So at the forearm, it plugs in on a ball joint at the wrist, and then that is connected at the socket into the actual paw on another ball joint. So we have plenty of ball joints here to move Zinogre around. Right? So we get plenty of points of movement. Zinogre is going to be able to move and groove into pretty much any pose you could want. You see that some of the claws there popped off of Zinogre. That is for a feature, which is really cool. Now, Zinogre's body. We have a ball joint system, which let me pull forward. Moving down. Nah, not really. Moving back, crouching back like that, arching his back like that. Very good. He can twist and turn from side to side real easy, like that. Very good. And also, literally, twist. Little creaky, but that's fine. Hips. Ball joint, little limited. You saw at the beginning of this section, I couldn't really get him to stand on these hind legs, but it still works out fine. You can twist, move forward and back, extend out like that, move forward. We're going to have knees, which I believe are going to be on ball joints because they do swivel around a little bit and you can get a little bit of rotation and pivots out of them. So that does look to be ball joints. And then down here, we have a system of connections for ball joints where these little feetsies, they absolutely do plug in on ball joints. So that's pretty good. Tail. Please, Bandai. Do more tails like this, please. We have a system of ball joints that are fantastic. Now, one thing that I noted is that Zinogre is not going to come with a chopped or severed tail part. Now, what I wanted to check is to see if maybe they had engineered a break point, a sever point. So I just kind of grabbed Zinogre and did one of these. And the only thing that I found was right here was the easiest part to pop off. So I don't think that that lines up with where you can sever his tail off in Iceborne. So I don't think for the inevitable Super Saiyan repaint, resculpt that they're going to be doing, hopefully, they would include the severed tail part because I think that's a bit too big. I think that, what I'm showing here on my right hand, would be the size that we need. But anyway, so I don't know if that's just not supposed to be that way and mine's doing it, or I don't know, maybe they are planning on doing it. But anyway, articulation for Zinogre. This section has gone on way too long, but it's gone on this long because it's good. And I like talking about good things. Zinogre's awesome. Three claps, not two, three. Very good. With that, though, I did want to talk about accessories. So we all know in Monster Hunter, whenever you're fighting and you're hunting and you're throwing down, you do get to a point where you piss the monsters off and they go into rage mode, right? Well, Zinogre is going to come with alternate parts. So he's going to come with alternate back little feetsies here. Yeah, so let's go ahead, and they're easy to pop off. I was a little afraid at first to do this because you can see the ball joint is relatively small. If you are afraid that you're going to have the parts on wrong, just take a look and match up. You can see you have the claw going back. It now moves forward. You see on the inside there's an L. Match up L with L and R with R. You're going to have to really push. Ooh. I may not even be able to walk and review a figure at the same time here. Okay, so I'll do one. Now, it looked good. I actually really like this. I may just prefer when displaying Zinogre this because it's easier to keep that foot planted on the ground. Now, for his front paws, he is going to have these two parts that do pop off. Okay, now something to keep in mind. Big in, small out. So when Zinogre gets mad, he throws those side claws out. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll throw up some very close pictures here at some point during this segment, but we do have these small little pegs on either side of the front paws for Zinogre. And what you're supposed to do is you have dedicated slots for each of these pegs. The issue that I'm coming across is I believe I am doing it correct, but the fit isn't 100% as best as I believe it could be because we still have some looseness and some difficulty getting things in. I need to really plan for my word choices better. But we have that. So we have difficulty getting the claws on. And then I would say as well, the fit, which is very clear here, doesn't seem very flush. At least for that one anyway. So it's very cool that we do get these enraged stomping paws because, I mean, let's be real here. If you know Zinogre, you know what these look like up close and personal. So, yeah, that's really cool. Now, otherwise for Zinogre, we get a rock. Okay, so it's more like a stone tablet. It's like a rock perch that we get. Now, I would say that this would be a neat extra accessory. I think that, you know, just to add some scenery on the shelf for something that Zinogre is going to stand on and roar up into the heavens. So this way we're getting ready to fully charge up and go one-on-one with Goku. Yeah, Super Saiyan mode. This is really neat. However, this being the accessory for Zinogre, I kind of want to have a bigger discussion for that, which I do want to save for the end. Overall, for Zinogre's price point and for the accessories, I do think that the swappable claw parts maybe could have been engineered a little bit better with clearer peg systems, and the stone base that he comes with, it's pretty good overall. I think it's a neat display piece, but I do think that maybe we could have gotten a thunder or a lightning part to go with Zinogre, especially because that's what he's known for. But of course, if you need effect parts or stands, you know I got videos to help you out. Now we'll go ahead and move on over to a size comparison so you can see exactly how big Zinogre is. And as you can see here, I actually thought he was going to be a bit smaller, but here, I'd say he sizes up relatively well. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Quality control will definitely vary from unit to unit, with mine in particular having just one little hiccup on that front fang, but otherwise, he looks great. And the articulation, the engineering is fantastic. The accessories that he does come with, I think, are just rock solid as is, but that is the one thing that I do want to bring home. Now, Monster Hunter vets, we all know that when Zinogre gets fully charged, that's really when the battlefield, the arena, becomes fully electrified. However, we do also know that Zinogre does have various stages of charging up, and even when he's not fully charged, he's still spinning around and sending out the Fulgur bugs after us. He's still doing his paw slams and creating a little bit of zippy zaps here and there, and he's still actively charging up, which is even used in the promotional shots. Now, if you are a collector who's been in the game for quite some time, maybe like myself, you do have access to accessories like the Tamashii Effect Lightning, or you even have wind effects, or so on and so forth. So you're probably covered and you don't necessarily need anything else aside from what's packed in here. However, if you're just a Monster Hunter fan and you really like Zinogre and you're thinking about this, or maybe you sort of pick and choose your releases and Zinogre's sort of catching your eye, you really can't display at this time Zinogre, the Thunder Wolf Wyvern, with electricity. So that's a little bit disappointing. That's the gripe with the figure. Otherwise, it's fantastic. If you're sort of hesitant with getting into this release, I would say Tamashii Nations seems to have already planned for a fully charged Zinogre action figure coming up, because you can sort of see different seam lines here and there that would indicate swappable parts for another release for fully charged, because you can see where you would swap out parts for hair that's going to stand up on its end. But otherwise, yes, this figure, as it is, maybe you get an extra lightning effect elsewhere. This figure is very good. Now, normally, here's where I just throw up the thumbnail and we just wheel right on out to the credits, but here's a small gallery for you since this is going to be a deluxe review. So let's go ahead and play that music and roll them shots, all right? Thank you for sticking around, folks. Please do consider subscribing and giving the video a nice big old thumbs up, and definitely catch some Monster Hunter streams over on Twitch. All right, thank you so much. We'll head on out. I'll catch you in the next video, and as always, thanks to the patrons, your card will be at the end. Enjoy!